My world revolves around her. Right? I'll do anything for my cat. She's um she's the reason I have the stuffy nose, and I know that because if I'm away, even if I'm away from the house for a while, then I go up somewhere else and I'll lose a stuffy nose. But there's something about the flu, the aching and the tiredness and the kind of like getting up too fast and feeling a little woozy and like wanting to lay down a lot. And then I drink some orange juice and eat some oranges and I feel better. And then the next day I get that tired feeling, the kind of the kind of like I'm worn out. I'm feeling my age, maybe. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm feeling my age. I'm 63 years old. I'm feeling my age. Yeah, I hate getting old. Yeah, I haven't been the times where I've gone on a I've really ranted really hard, and I've really yelled and really gone on a really tirade, right? Like a real anger vent, right? I'll go in my house, no one's around, right? I got all my windows and doors closed, and I'm in the middle of my house in a room, and the doors are closed, and usually when I'm around people that are Christians that are very religious, right, that talk about Jesus and the Gospels, they bring up Bible quotes, or or they lecture me about God, or they mention God. Then those times when I'm by myself, I just scream. I get so mad. If there is a God there, I scream and I yell and I shake my fist and get down on the floor and I pound and I throw a big tantrum, right? I get all red and I scream and yell and I'm mad at God, Why do you make these people suffer? Why do you cause these animals to suffer, right? Why don't you fix this world? Why do you make this shitty place like it is, this planet that always wars all the time and people are sick, there's cancers and horrible things happen, there's diseases and violence, and I get mad and I start really throwing a really terrible rant towards God. Like I just shake my fist. I want to go find God, and I want to kick him in the balls as hard as I can, knock him down, kick his ass in, right? I'm really pissed off, and I'm yelling at God, why don't you fix this place? God, why don't you it's usually when I get that way, it's usually because I'm around other people that are religious, or and it makes I start feeling that way inside. I start feeling, well, if there's just a God there, why doesn't it fix this place? And I get really mad, and I really I really kind of worry about my own sanity when it gets to that point, because I've really gone on a really bad headspace about being angry at God. Um and just a little bit of it is, why am I here? Why am I on this fucked up world, right? What did I do to deserve this place, to be in this torture chamber, this house of horrors, this miserable valley of tears, this gray, gloomy, unrelenting, vicious uh these this situation here, this earth, on this planet. What did I do to deserve to be here? And a little bit of my rant is that, but most of my rant's about other people, because I see other people in the world that are really suffering a lot, and I get mad at God, and I go, God, why don't you help those people? Go to them. Instead, you want this football team to win, or you want somebody to win the jackpot at the slot machine, or there's some people praying, oh, help me out, God, help me. Well, why don't you go really help somebody that really needs you, a baby that's got cancer, like some poor animal that's suffering, or other creatures that are suffering. Like, I get mad, and then I come out of it and I go, well, I know that this idea of God is just a made up thing. It's just a fictional character out of history, right? That people have made up just to explain the unexplainable, or just to propitiate, to gain favors, or get lucky, or um, have good fortune, have good things happen to them and their family, be healthy and wealthy and be successful, and and have prominence, and it could be all the things that are good things that can happen to a person if you align yourself with the one that created you, right? Maybe if you do what they align, if you could make the God happy, it would change fortunes for you. You would become more prosperous. You would become more healthy. You would gain wealth. You would be lucky, right? That's the thing. Lucky, yeah, you get lucky because you've found the God, right? And you're making the God. You're doing what you think that God would want you to do to please the God. So it's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome. But really, if you're an atheist and you're also ethical, right? If you're an ethical person and you're an atheist, then you're just wanting to be a good person because you understand that everyone else is kind of in the same position that you're in. They exist. They're trying to be happy. They're on their own path in their life, and you're there and you're with them or you're interacting with them, and you just have a deep understanding about, hey, we all want the same thing together, right? Except maybe people that are psychopaths, you're kind of like you want to stay away from them. You try to avoid them as much as you can, and a sociopaths too. Um, but if you have a job and your boss is a psychopath, or your employer is a sociopath, path of behavior, they want to control you or whatever. Under their power and that. So, but to me, it's like, well, why be kind to animals, right? If you really believe that an animal is a tool, is a piece of equipment that's an end, a means to an end, and it's not an autonomous, sovereign individual being, that it's somehow a mechanism that's a big meat machine, a mechanism of meat. It really has there are no depth of feelings. There might be a superficial feeling, something that looks superficially like it's feeling, but really you're just imagining you're projecting your own thoughts into that being you're overthinking about the animal suffering. So, but I don't believe that. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe that. I believe that there is a depth within that animal, and it would be like, well, I would relate that because there has been times in my own life where someone else or something else has had power over me, that I've suffered under the thumb or the boot of a power over me, that and that if there are lesser beings under me that are a lesser being than myself, that I would not want them to experience me being a power over them, or being force of enslavement towards them, or any kind of indirect way being cruel or torturing them. So I myself have been in situations in my own life where I've been confined, where I've been in pain, where I've been humiliated, where I've been under the power of someone else, having to do something that I didn't want to do, or been somewhere and had to be forced to be there. So I'm very, very empathetic towards all the other ones that I would interact with in the world. So I'm like, but like someone in my family what may say, well, you're just overthinking of it. I think you're maybe a little bit crazy. Maybe you are too you're too empathetic, and you're not really you're really thinking about what that animal is. I mean, you're not the animal. Of course, you are a human being, and how could you presume that the animal has the same level of experiential feelings that you're having? And I do. I overthink it, and I believe that the animals do. So, which is, I mean, you could like say, well, he's trying to lay a guilt trip on me, or he's trying to be like help. He's trying to make it so I can't enjoy my food anymore. I won't eat. I'll never eat. It'll be the same because of him, because of what he said. Right? He said something that it made your brain change, and how you look at an animal. You're not just looking at an animal like, I think, like in Mendham says, a trailer hitch, right? Like a thing that's to be used as a means to an end for yourself, for your own selfish pleasure, convenience. And that was the whole thing about, well, let's say you go to sleep and you dream you're an other. If you sleep and then you dream you're an other, so you're an other. I'm saying you're not you're not the character that you are while you're awake, okay? When you go to sleep and you dream and then you dream you're someone else, you're still the person that you're still the you that's here inside of your head experiencing your own self, experiencing an experience while you're dreaming. But you could dream that you're some other foreign person that knows another language. You could dream you're a different kind of animal. And you're experiencing what that animal would it be experiencing. So you could sleep at night and then wake up and you realize, wow, I who am I in my arrogance to think I'm the only one that really is here? I'm just this world revolves around me, and I'm a brain in a vat, and everybody else is here to serve me, and it's Ubermensch. I'm the Ubermensch, right? I'm the one that's conquered, and really, I'm on the top of the very top of the highest pyramid, looking down on everyone else from this vantage point. That it's all revolving around me, 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 me. Well, that's a very infantile way of thinking. Now, when you're an infant, when you're a small baby, you're still thinking that your body you don't realize that the surfaces of your skin don't extend out into the world around you. You are this individual person, and everyone else. There are others that are like you. You no longer think that the world revolves. When you're a baby, and infants believe have they're not educated enough to know that there are others that are just they are like them, right? So they haven't grasped they haven't had enough life experiences while they're being in a baby form to know what others are, to have um, awareness of other people's feel. There's other people that have feelings. There's animals that feel, um, and who's to say it's all you didn't consciously project your your conscious soul. You didn't Okay, there's no soul, right? I'm just going to say the soul really is the activity of the brain. That's what the soul is, right? It's the activity of the brain. So I'm not saying that the activity of this brain form that initiated itself into its existence. Like I had no say so whatsoever in becoming an alive human being. My parents did, right? My parents, they are the ones that initiated this person to start and become into existence. So if you look at it really deeply and philosophically, everyone else that exists, whomever, whether it's all these other people other than me, other than myself, they have as just as much of a conscious theater of experiences. Their life is just as real to them as an individual as my life is real to me as an individual. Now, some of them might be have more sensitivities than others, right? They may hear better and see better and have more clarity of thought. Maybe they're more sensitive to sound or sensitive to touch or pain and play or cold and heat. So there's levels of consciousnesses, right? So you could have somebody that's like drowsy, that's sleeping, or that's comatose or vaguely comatose, right? They're coming in and out of consciousness, and they could be retarded, or they could be someone that's unconscious, but they're still coming in and out. Or waking or going to sleep or waking up from a sleep. So there's different levels of consciousness, and anybody it would seem logical to think that, okay, the squirrel that's outside right now, they they're not maybe they don't have the same intensity of their consciousness that I do of my self-awareness. Maybe they're more of a sleep. Maybe they have more of a sleep kind of sleep awake, sleep awake. Maybe they're more of like, if I could like trade places and switch bodies with the animal, then I would be inside the animal, and it would be more like I would be like in a dream. It would be more like a dream state. And that would be the only way that I could compare it to, right? As being asleep, right? So I'm gonna end it there. Yeah, I'm gonna end it.